They say you can hear her footsteps if you walk the trails before sunrise. Not loud, more like whispers on gravel. 2 years ago, Melanie Carter tied her shoelaces like she had 1,000 times before, kissed her husband, waved to her sleepy daughter, and went out for a jog she never returned from. For 728 days, the hills of Napa kept their secret, until one fall morning, when a man and his truffle-hunting pig uncovered something beneath the roots of an ancient oak tree. And the story that emerged would rewrite everything we thought we knew about the perfect family in wine country. Melanie Carter lived the kind of life that made other people jealous. She had a charming home nestled between vineyards, a devoted husband, a daughter who adored her, and a career she loved. She ran a nonprofit that helped domestic abuse survivors find housing and employment. Everyone in town knew her. Everyone liked her. But Melanie wasn't the type to bask in admiration. She volunteered quietly, ran 5 miles every morning, rain or shine, and never missed Lily's ballet recitals. Neighbors described her as grounded. Her best friend Dana? Mel was the glue that held us all together. And Grant, her husband of 12 years? She was my compass, my calm. It was the kind of life people don't believe can break. But what happened next would leave the entire town speechless. At first, Grant thought maybe she'd run a little longer. Maybe she stopped for coffee, or bumped into a neighbor. But by 8:12 a.m., the coffee pot was still full. Her phone was on the charger. Her car sat untouched in the driveway, and her running shoes were gone. He called Dana, then the school, then the park ranger's office. By 9:47 a.m., he was on the trail with 2 volunteers, calling her name into the woods. Melanie had vanished, and the trail where she ran every morning suddenly felt colder, quieter, wrong. And just when they thought it couldn't get worse, someone found her watch, smashed, lying near a bend in the trail. By noon, the town of Calistoga knew something was terribly wrong. Hundreds of volunteers combed through every hiking path, vineyard, and drainage ditch. Dogs picked up a faint scent, but lost it near a remote vineyard entrance. Her smartwatch had blood on the strap. No one saw her leave. No one saw her return. And when Grant gave his statement to police, something didn't sit right. He couldn't remember if she'd worn her blue or gray jacket. He couldn't say if they kissed goodbye that morning. He didn't even realize she'd left without her ID. But the real story was only just beginning. For weeks, the search dominated the town. Flyers, press conferences, candlelight vigils. Grant sat front row, hand clutching Lily's too tightly. But behind closed doors, grief took a darker shape. He stopped sleeping. Dana said he drank more. Ruth said he barely spoke. And Lily started drawing pictures of her mother in the woods. Alone, in the dark. It wasn't just a missing person anymore. It was a mother-shaped hole growing deeper each day. Until a letter arrived that changed everything. The photo was old, faded and grainy. But Dana recognized Melanie's eyes. Her smile. Only she was younger. And she was with a man none of them recognized. On the back, in trembling handwriting, "You never really knew her." Detectives couldn't trace the source. But Dana had a theory. One she kept to herself. She remembered a fight Melanie had in college. Something she'd hinted at once, about running from someone. Dana hides the photo in her coat, looks toward the trailhead, and then they found the photo. And everything changed. Lucas Vance, Melanie's ex-boyfriend, a man she filed a restraining order against in 2010. He disappeared from her life after college, or so she thought. Dana gave his name to the police. They found an address in Oregon. Lucas had a cabin, deep in the woods. He denied knowing anything, claimed he hadn't spoken to her in years. But his fireplace still had a photo of her on the mantel. But what he said next, no one expected. Lucas swore he hadn't seen her. But Dana wasn't convinced. And back home, Grant was unraveling. He confessed to Ruth he had cheated once, years ago, and that Melanie had found out 2 months before she vanished. He said she was distant, that she'd started locking her phone, and that the last thing she ever told him was, "If anything happens to me, check the vineyard's edge." Grant collapses into tears. Ruth watches silently. Yet in his darkest moment, he saw her face. In Lily's new drawing, The charm was caked in soil, but unmistakably hers. Police brought in ground-penetrating radar. At 5 feet deep, they hit something solid. A wooden crate. But inside wasn't a body. It was a journal. Melanie's. Every page detailed her fear that someone was following her. Watching. She believed Lucas was back. She believed she couldn't trust Grant. Or Dana. And on the final page, I'm going to fake it. Disappear. It's the only way to be free. He didn't know it yet, but the truth was waiting. She'd change her name. Change her face. But when Dana walked in, Melanie froze. She didn't run. She didn't speak. Just stared, then wept. She had faked it. The watch. The blood. The journal was real. She'd lived in fear for years. Lucas had stalked her. Then Grant betrayed her. She'd chosen escape. I had to live, she whispered. But even that truth wasn't the whole truth. He missed every birthday, every ballet recital. Every night, Lily cried for her. But Melanie said the guilt never faded. She wanted to come back, but feared the damage was already done. Dana handed her a small box. Inside, Lily's drawing, folded neatly. She still draws you, Dana said. She never stopped. Then she said something he never expected to hear. She didn't walk up to her that day. But a week later, Grant received a letter. Lily opened it, read it, then asked him quietly, "Can we go see her?" And they did. On a quiet Oregon beach, the family reunited. No cameras, no reporters, just 3 people, and 1,000 words unsaid. And in that moment, everything made sense. Melanie journals again, this time in peace. Grant and Lily walked the shore nearby. Melanie didn't come back to Napa, but she returned to life, to herself. She and Grant divorced, but amicably. And Lily? She spent summers with her mom, learning how to paint seashells and tell the truth, no matter how messy. Some people break, others vanish, but a few rebuild. So ask yourself, would you forgive someone who disappeared to survive? Or would you walk away, even if they came back? Subscribe to hear the stories that still need to be told.